Have you ever wondered what the universe actually looks like when you zoom out far enough? Not the stars, not the galaxies, but the invisible structure holding everything together. Because what if I told you space is not empty at all? It is something far stranger. And we are only just beginning to see its shape. Most people imagine the universe like this: stars scattered randomly, galaxies floating like isolated islands in darkness. But that picture is wrong. Completely wrong. Because underneath everything we can see, there is something else. Something vast. Something invisible. Something that connects everything. And until recently, we could barely prove it existed. Now imagine this. You are looking at the universe not as individual points of light, but as a structure. Like a giant cosmic spider web stretching across billions of years. Some threads are thick. Some are thin. Some regions are empty voids so large they feel impossible. And every single galaxy sits on those threads. Question is, who built the web? And why does the universe look like this at all? To understand this, we need to start small. Very small. Not planets, not stars, but something far more fundamental. Dark matter. We cannot see it, cannot touch it. We cannot directly detect it. And yet, it makes up most of the universe's mass. Think about that. Everything you have ever seen is only a tiny fraction of what exists. The rest is invisible. And this invisible matter doesn't just float around randomly. It shapes everything. Slowly. Quietly. Relentlessly. Over billions of years, gravity begins to do something extraordinary. Dark matter pulls itself together. Not into solid objects like planets, but into long, thread-like structures. Filaments. And where these filaments cross, something even more interesting happens. Matter collects. Gas gathers. Galaxies are born. So instead of galaxies forming randomly across space, they form along an invisible framework, a cosmic skeleton. Scientists call this structure cosmic web. But for decades, this was mostly a theory. We had simulations, we had mathematical predictions. Seeing it directly was extremely difficult, because the universe does not make it easy for us.
The deeper we look into space, the further back in time we see. But there is a limit. Earlier telescopes could only show us so much detail. Distant galaxies looked blurred. Structures seemed smoother than they actually were. It was like trying to understand a forest while seeing only fog. You knew something was there, but not the shape of it. Then, something changed. A new generation of instruments began to look deeper into space than ever before. And suddenly, the fog started to clear. Recently, scientists used extremely sensitive observations from advanced space-based telescopes to map the universe in a way never done before. And what they found was not just confirmation of the cosmic web, but something more detailed than expected. Much more detailed. What used to look like single, simple structures now broke apart into complex networks. Filaments inside filaments. Clusters connected like intersections in a vast highway system. And between them, immense voids. Regions of near nothingness stretching across unimaginable distances. Think about that. The universe is not just filled with matter. It is also shaped by absence. Let that sink in for a moment.
Now here is where things get even more interesting. Because when scientists looked even further back in time, they weren't just seeing the present-day universe. They were seeing the early universe. A universe only a few 100 million years old. Still young, still forming, still building itself. And yet, even then, the web already existed. Not fully formed, but clearly taking shape. This tells us something profound. The cosmic web is not something that developed late in the universe's life. It was there almost from the beginning, like a blueprint, a hidden design guiding everything that would come later. But the big question is, why this shape? Why filaments? Why nodes? Why not a uniform spread of matter? Answer lies in gravity, but not in the way we usually think about it. Gravity does not just pull things together. It amplifies tiny differences. In the early universe, matter was almost evenly distributed. Almost, but not perfectly. There were tiny fluctuations, invisible variations. And over time, gravity pulled more matter into the slightly denser regions. Those regions became denser, which attracted even more matter. A runaway process. Like ink spreading in water, but guided by invisible rules. And slowly, structure emerged. Not chaos, but pattern. And here is the strange part. Dark matter is believed to have started this process first, long before normal matter responded. It formed the skeleton, and ordinary matter simply followed it, like water flowing along carved channels. So when we look at galaxies today, we are not just seeing isolated systems. We are seeing points along a much larger architecture. Now imagine scaling this up in your mind. Not a galaxy, not a cluster, but the entire observable universe. Billions of galaxies, all arranged along invisible threads, connected across distances so large that light itself takes millions of years to travel between them. And you begin to realize something unsettling. We are not living in empty space. We are living inside structure. A structure so large, it is almost impossible to visualize. So what makes this new mapping so important? It is not just about seeing more detail. It is about understanding how this structure evolved over time. Because by looking deep into space, we are also looking back in time. And each layer of distance is a layer of history. A timeline written in light.
Now here is the most mind-bending implication. If the cosmic web we see today came from tiny fluctuations in the early universe, then the entire large-scale structure of everything was decided by randomness at the smallest scales. Think about that. small, random, almost meaningless at first, but stretched across billions of years, they became everything. But before we jump too far, there is a reality check. This cosmic web does not affect our daily lives. You are not being pulled by filaments of dark matter. You are not drifting along invisible cosmic threads. On human scales, gravity from nearby objects dominates completely. This structure is real, but it is enormous beyond comprehension. And incredibly slow in its evolution. Changes happen over billions of years, not moments. Still, there is something deeply powerful about this idea, because it changes how we see the universe.
Not as empty space with scattered galaxies, but as a living architecture, a framework that shaped everything we know. And we are only now beginning to see its true form. So let's return to the question we started with. What does the universe actually look like when you zoom out far enough? It does not look like darkness. It does not look like emptiness. It looks like structure. A vast, invisible web, slowly revealing itself across cosmic time. And the more clearly we see it, the more we realize how much we still have to understand. Because this is not the end of the story. It is just the first time we are seeing outline. Subscribe for more cosmic stories.